And a good morning to you, and welcome to the show. The Back Nine Boys Golf Show is brought to you by Bridgestone Golf. Play the ball that fits you by Sea Palms Resort, featuring now a Sunday brunch menu by Chef Johnny Carino, and by Mizuno Golf, Reach Beyond. Have you ever had a round or two or more where you think the wheels have come off on your golf swing and totally on your game? Yes, we have. Well, Dr. Mo Pickens of the Sea Island Golf Performance Center will talk us through what to do when, not if, but when that happens, and it will, and how to regain your focus. And then next we'll talk with the creator of the Monster Mat, Brent Paschall, on his practice mat that is not like any others. And then finally we'll talk with Donna Lerner of the Donna Lerner Golf Academy in Raleigh, North Carolina, about U.S. Kids. She's one of the top 50 instructors, how to overcome challenges and make the game fun again. But first up is Dr. Mo. Dr. Mo and I talked about the round where you thought you were going to give up the game. That's said many times during a week, sometimes during a round. And the round where you wondered what happened to the swing I had yesterday, last week, or even on the last hole. So how do you regain your game after a bad round?
A couple different things. One is you shouldn't be trying to play a round of golf to start with. You should be trying to play individual separate holes. So even with my guys, like what we talk about is get your game ready to go play the first hole on Thursday. And then regardless if you make a 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll have to reset and play the second hole. And then how those add up will dictate the score. But we're not really trying to play a round. We're not trying to play, before the cut line or play a tournament. We're trying to play as best we can. It's easier said than done, but we're trying to play individual separate holes. So when you have that mindset, there's no real chance to mess up your entire round in the first 5 holes like some amateurs think, because, well, I'm just playing the 6th hole. And it's like if you play skins, which is a game that, sometimes amateurs play, if you play skins, then it helps you not think ahead and not look back, because everything depends on that hole. And so that's a good mindset to have for stroke play golf is, okay, I'm going to play this hole. I'm going to play it the best that I can. And we'll just keep adding them up one hole at a time. Now, from a technical standpoint or a course management standpoint, if you know what your common mistakes are, then you can have kind of a system built in to deal with that or manage that. So let's use myself, for example. When I go play, I know I'm not a robot. I know I'm going to make mistakes. And I know that most of those mistakes are going to occur with 2 things. Either the first foot off the ball gets too fast, and so my tempo gets out of whack, or my posture gets poor because I don't work out enough to keep good posture throughout the entire round. So once I hit, 2 or 3 poor shots in a row, those are going to be the first things I'm going to address, is making sure I'm slow off the ball and making sure that my posture is good so that I have room to swing the club. So, for some people that's, ball position, right? Like I was playing with a kid yesterday. He kept hitting these toe hooks. The fix is not to change his swing. The fix is just get a little closer to it until you can get to the range, right? And so immediately he started hitting it out of the middle of the face, not because we had done anything magical with his swing, but because he was hitting in the toe. His fix is, hey, get a little closer to it, because he does get off with his ball position. So you need to understand, some of your tendencies and the things that you can fix or manage. And most of those are pre-swing things: posture, ball position, alignment, aim of the club face, and really stay away from trying to fix your swing, because you can't see yourself swing, and that's usually going to lead to more problems, not better golf. So those would be the 2 biggest things: is your mindset of approaching holes, and then having some system to manage bad golf.
Well, amateurs, unlike the pros, because they work with guys like you, the pros look at a bad round and they pick the positives. Most amateurs have a bad round and they think about the negatives.
Well, I would say your perception of what the pros do might be a little flawed. Those guys can get pretty negative too.
Not when they do interviews on TV, though.
No. That's the ones that have agreed to do the interviews. So, but yeah, I think the main thing in that is understanding, okay, hey, once the round's over, trying to figure out what you did well and go practice that first if you're going to stay around and hit any balls. Or so like if you hit your driver really poor on the golf course, that should not be the first thing you do once you get off the golf course. You want to go hit some chips or, do something. It might even be take a longer break, go grab some lunch or something, and then come back where you can, because if you're in a bad mindset, then no matter how much time you're putting in, it's not going to be productive, right? So you got to be able to kind of clear the slate. And if that means go work on something positive or take a break and then come back, that's the way I would want you to approach that. If you're limited on time, so let's say this happens some, we're limited on time, it's getting dark, the player needs to work on his speed, right? But his short putting was okay. We literally try to go hit a few short putts and be like, just calm down before we worked on the speed aspect of it.
Okay.
Because if you come off in a negative mindset and the thing that put you in that negative mindset is what you directly go to, you're probably just going to continue that mindset.
Right.
You have to have some way to reset or at least kind of break the pattern that's been established. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just sometimes it's harder to do, especially when you're in the thick of it and you're trying to help your team if they're playing best 2 out of 4 balls and you don't feel like you're contributing at all.
Right. Well, and I think, if that's the case where you're not contributing, the day's continuing to get worse, at some point you just have to and some people are good at resetting goals. Like, hey, okay, it doesn't matter that, I'm literally 8 over through par through 6 holes because I've made a couple doubles and whatever. I'm going to reset and I'm going to choose to play the next 4 holes or the next whatever. So some people can do that. I would encourage you to try and break it down just to 1 hole at a time and be like, okay, well, if by some chance I were in a playoff, whether it's for the club championship or whether it's this team thing, what would my mindset be? That's where I want to get to. It's easy, and mainly this happens with negative self-talk. It's easy to kind of keep digging that hole deeper.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to kind of get yourself out of that, and change kind of the vibe that's going on with your golf that day. So.
Yeah, it's amazing, though. Sometimes when you have a great round, there's obviously some things you could have done to improve. Mm-hmm. And you probably don't appreciate the great round until you have another round that's not so great. And you realize somebody says, when you played your best round, what were you thinking? And you say nothing. Well, sometimes that's very hard to do, is to think about nothing.
Well, and I don't think that actually ever occurs. Our brain is so powerful. The perception might be that you're thinking nothing, but in actuality, I would say you probably had a very simple thought. It might not be a technical thought, but I'm just going to swing smooth today. Or sometimes you can actually play really good golf when you're a little bit under the weather or that kind of thing, or the conditions are pretty tough, and so your expectations are down. That doesn't mean you're not thinking anything. It just means that you're not all caught up in the technique, or you're not all caught up in the score, and you downplay the expectations from a score standpoint, and you focus on just get through the ball and, manage it. And so I don't believe that this idea of thinking nothing exists, but I do think that when you play really good, you probably have few simple thoughts, and they probably are worth writing down. If you ever play a really good round of golf, you probably should just keep a journal, write down a few notes. I was thinking about completing my backswing in my long game, and I was thinking about just started on line in my putting, whatever those thoughts are, so that you can go back to them and look at them. Because one of the things I do with my players is if they play really well, we make sure to video their routines and have them talk through what's going on in their mind and maybe how they're getting set up, and if they have a little tempo key or swing key, so that in 6 months, if we need to go back and look at it, we have that kind of video available. And amateurs can do the same thing. Even if you don't do the video, at least jot down notes about what you were thinking and what was going on so that you can refer back to it.
That is Dr. Mo Pickens, and I like that. Jot down notes so you can refer back to it. Sometimes I'm not sure I'd like to know the thoughts that I have at that particular time, but it's good suggestions, and Dr. Mo knows about it. So I want to thank him for being with us this morning. Next up is Monster Mat creator Brent Paschall, and we're going to talk to him up in North Carolina in just a few minutes. But first, I want to talk to you about checking out the monthly specials by the local elementary schools at CJ's Italian Restaurant. Check out their full menu at cjsitalianrestaurant.com. Right now they're making up their from scratch, as they do every morning. They're making up the sauces, the pizza doughs, the breads, the dressings, everything to get ready for you for today when they open up at 4:30. They make it real easy. You call up, give them your name, give them your order. You drive up. They got 4 places right out in front. And then you just drive up. They come out. You give them your name. Your stuff comes. They put it in the car. Boom. You're out. And you've got a delicious meal from CJ's Italian Restaurant. They are known for their best deep dish, but also their thin crust is very, very good. So check out the full menu and the friendly, great staff at CJ's Italian Restaurant.
Hey, this is John Claffey, Vice President of Marketing at Tour Edge, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Glad that you are with us. Next up is Brent Paschall. He's out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and he has created the Monster Mat, made in the USA, not like others. And just want to say good morning to Brent and welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Brent, tell me about the Monster Mat that you've created.
The Monster Mat is the only mat in the world that uses what's called a Z-Pro fiber, which is non-directional. It's the best mat in the world, period.
And
because it has a temperature range of minus 60 degrees below zero, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll retain the same resiliency in those extreme conditions.
all right. And you told me before on the phone, we talked this week, that a lot of golfers, some pros, a lot of amateurs you've talked with, they just prefer your mat over the others. Why is that?
They absolutely do, because it's the most realistic thing to hitting off, let's say, Pinehurst or Augusta fairway. It doesn't allow any club or elbow shot or wrist shot to your hands, which that was the biggest thing that people didn't like about golf mats.
Yeah, you're right. Because
we've eliminated that by the way that it's made.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, the fact that it eliminates that shock factor, because even in cold or warm weather, you come down on it and you could injure yourself with hitting off a mat, not yours, but the others that are out there.
Well, most everyone in the industry uses a nylon mat with a PVC foam. We use a polyethylene foam, and we use the Z-Pro fiber. But between the two, between the pad and the turf itself, there's a wear barrier that absolutely just collapses when you impact it and hit a fat shot.
And is those ingredients that you use, the others don't, and that's why yours is better, because it's more like hitting off fairways, like you said, at Augusta or the better golf courses that are out there.
Yeah. And, we have been in the past the preferred vendor of Club Corporations of America, Dick's Sporting Goods, Golf Galaxy. We try to stay away from them. They still order from us, but they just take so long to pay.
Yeah, I understand that, but how does that make you feel, since you've created this Monster Mat, that these big, box stores are wanting to sell your mat? It's got to give you a lot of satisfaction.
I have just a little bitty short list of some people here that have it. Trinity Forest, where the Byron Nelson was held for years.
Right.
Glen Eagles, Westcott Plantation, Deer Valley in Alpharetta, Georgia, Rigby Golf in Oak Harbor, Washington, Tacoma Firs Family Golf. And you tell me when to stop on this.
Oh, you're good. Obviously what you're telling us is that there's people out there that really like what you have and that they're using it. So, Brent, give us the website so our listeners can go to it and check out what you have created with the Monster Mat.
Well, I have two websites.
Okay.
Take you directly to the same website. One is called monstermat .golf.
Okay.
And the other is safeplaygolf.com.
Okay, those are both the websites that our listeners can go to and order. And what sizes do they come in, Brent?
Well, they come in various sizes, but the main width of the mat itself, and what most people buy for individual use, is the 5 foot by 5 foot. That's also listed on our website.
Okay. And I got to tell you, you were kind enough to send me one. I've got it in the backyard. Not that I have a huge yard, but I'll tell you, hitting off of it is incredible. I was very impressed with the way that it felt when you hit the ball off your mat.
Well, I appreciate that. And just to give you an example, we'll go to the PGA show every year, except this year,
Right.
COVID. But anyway, to make a long story short, we'll sell 3 to 1 of everybody else combined there. And there's several people that sell mats. Now, we're the only manufacturer of our own product. So we have quality control over every single mat that we send out.
And one of the other things I love about what you do is that you guarantee the mat. And if someone is not happy with it, of which you've never had, you will send them back their money.
Well, I'll send it back between now and 11 months, 3 weeks, and 6 days. You've got all that time to decide if what I'm telling you is the absolute truth. And we've never had a mat sent back.
And
or never had to refund anybody's money.
Well, that is incredible in itself. And that talks legends about not only you, but your people that make the mat and the mat itself. The product is just incredible. So give us the websites one more time, Brent.
Give us, it's safeplaygolf.com and monstermat.golf.
I love it.
Both of those will take you right to our website.
Well, Brent, thank you for being with.
You can order through PayPal online.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for telling us about Monster Mat. And I hope our listeners will, as you and I are talking right now, go to your sites and check it out for themselves. And I hope they order a lot. So, Brent, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for your time.
You're
Thank
welcome.
your listeners also.
All right. Brent Paschall with Monster Mat, safeplaygolf.com. I mean, I think I got to tell you, I mean, it is a great mat. You would check it out. A lot of people have them, but nothing like this. Right after the break, we're going to talk with nationally recognized golf coach Donna Lerner from the Donna Lerner Golf Academy in Raleigh, North Carolina. But first, we want to talk about some other famous names like Luke Donald, Keith Mitchell, Grayson Sigg. They know that Mizuno golf clubs are made for performance and feel, and now they introduce their new ST series of drivers and fairway metals. Their new irons, the JPX 921s and the MP20s, are built for feel with absolute precision and performance. And then you can complete your bag with their new line of putters, the M-Crafts. But check out all their new clubs at MizunoGolf.com. Nothing feels like Mizuno. Reach beyond.
This is Josh Teeter, PGA Tour Pro, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Donna Lerner of the Donna Lerner Golf Academy is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she is with us live. And good morning, Donna, and welcome to our show.
Well, good morning, Rich. Been a long time. Good to see you, my friend.
It has been a very long time. I remember when you were at the other place for a long time, and now you've
That's
been
right.
here at Briar Creek for a long time.
This is our
One of
eighth
the
season
things-
at Briar Creek.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So
Went fast.
you and I have, as we've just said, for many years we've known each other. Tell our listeners about your teaching philosophy, because I really, really always admired that.
Well, thank you. My teaching philosophy is really very simple. We really believe that everybody is perfect. They just don't necessarily understand how to execute their individual perfect. So everything we do is very student-centered, Rich. We focus on not so much the cookie cutter process of how to hit a golf ball, but what can your physical body do? What can you draw on from your history, from your past, that can help you execute an athletic swing? Our goal is not to create 40 of the same swings. It's to create 40 golfers who can go out and be comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, and do you find that a lot of people, when they tell you what they think they're doing wrong, do they actually really know what they're doing wrong or would like to improve? I know everybody wants to hit the ball farther, but sometimes it's consistency.
Yeah, it's funny. I love to listen to people tell me about their understanding of their golf swing. Rarely does it align with their actual movement, but that's not their fault.
Right.
There's so much information available online and in the written word. It's really very confusing for people. And when someone says to me, I believe that I'm early extending through the impact zone and standing and delivering. Well, those are wonderful terms and they are very appropriate, but 9 times out of 10, it may or may not be the cause, it may be the result. And so, you are standing up at impact. Yes, you are early extending, but that is a product of your posture to begin with.
Right.
And so instruction that's delivered over YouTube and things like that is all very, very good, but it's all very generic. And so it doesn't apply to the guy who's had his shoulder done. He's not quite as flexible as the 9-year-old kid who's like Gumby,
Yeah.
But rarely do people truly understand what they're doing. What I have found, however, is that people are willing to try things more now than they were 10 years ago.
Does that matter the age they are, or do you just think because there's so much information that's out there that they're gathering it from so many different places that they're just trying to, kind of dummy it down, so to speak, to a couple of things rather than 52 things?
I would agree with you that the whole dummy it down thing is actually the smartest thing anybody can do.
Right.
Less is more in the game of golf. More is just, a 7-layer salad, and you're not going to get anything accomplished. So yes, I do think that people are more open to opportunities to improve because there is so much information out there. And you're right, Rich. Everybody wants to hit it farther. It doesn't matter how far they hit it. I gave a playing lesson to a young man yesterday. He's 13 years old, hits the ball 295 yards with no effort whatsoever. And he goes, I think I'll be able to get it to 330. I said, yeah, but do you need to right now?
Right.
I'd prefer you become a great wedge player so that you can complement that great power. I think what people are realizing now over what they were before is that you don't have to be at 100% all the time. That's a recipe for exhaustion and injury.
Yeah, and then you end up making more mistakes or more swing flaws because you're trying to be perfect. And golf is, as we've known, is not a game of perfect.
That is so very true. It's a perfectly imperfect movement. right? And it is not the same for any two people. Look at some of the greatest players of all time. Look at Arnold Palmer. His tournament is this weekend. Why don't we just honor the gentleman? He had the most hideous follow through that you would ever see in your life.
Yeah.
But the guy hit the purest draw you'd ever want. You know, look at Jim Furyk. Everybody makes fun of his golf swing. How many of us would like his bank account?
I think I would. Yeah, sure.
And his notoriety and his fame, his accomplishment.
Right.
You know, there is no wrong except at the moment of impact. That is the only moment that truly matters. And our job as teachers and instructors and coaches and mentors is to find out where are we in the top of the backswing and what can we do to get athletic and impact.
Okay.
That's it.
When you're on the range and somebody says, you know, you're taking a look at their swing, how many swings will it take for you to really realize? Because you guys, and I admire that, y'all know quickly what they're doing wrong. So is it 1-2 swings? Is it 5? What is it?
I think that it really does depend sometimes on the skill level of the player, but you can see repeating movement within 3 swings. You're going to see them, their hands are going to move either early or late every time. And so their habits, their compensations are going to repeat. What doesn't repeat is the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And so our job is to take the compensations and the inefficiencies and try to help them to understand how to become efficient. Not everybody is meant to play golf professionally. We all know that. God knows, you know, it's not a life I would choose. But it's such a wonderful game, and we found out this year with this tragic COVID-19 that it was a game that was still there for everyone.
Yes. Safely.
Exactly. And people got a chance to realize, wow, I can actually walk. I never walk, but I can. And how exciting is that for the game and for health? You know, I've seen people come to me and say, you know, I normally play 12 rounds a year. This year I played 52 rounds and I walked 35 of them. Yeah.
And they wouldn't have done that before.
Exactly. So our game is alive. It's well. It's challenging. You know, we did no youth golf last year because at our academy, which is my decision and Kathy Bounds' decision, we chose to take the high road, and we didn't want to put our staff and our people at risk, and so we did no groups. And it was hard. It was very hard because it's a huge part of our business.
Sure.
But to be 100% honest with you, if we had it to do over again, we would do it exactly the same way. You know, we have been around. We're teaching from dawn to dark every day, to the point, Rich, that we got so busy that I had to stop taking new clients.
Wow.
And everyone was like, just hire someone. Well, that's not the answer, because we're in the cold season where we have very little daylight. We have frost delays. Weather is an issue. I just want to be able to service the clients we have. And then when spring comes and everything expands, we can talk about hiring someone.
Right.
So from October to March 5, which is yesterday, yesterday, we didn't take a new student.
Wow. All right. So what about this year? Are you going to expand and go back to groups and go back to kids? Okay.
It is our goal. I have 3 business plans. One is everything's normal.
Okay.
And we're full bore. One is a modification of normal.
Right.
And one is we've exploded with this virus and we can't do it again. So we have 3 actual working business plans in play.
Okay. So let's get back to something that you said. This young kid who was hitting at 295 wanted to hit at 330. There's a guy and I know there's a guy in the PGA Tour, Bryson DeChambeau. He's hitting it farther than he wants to. Right. Personally, I think he's concentrating too much on his swing speed and how far he hits it. And so it's affected his other parts of the game. So it's really not how far you hit it. It's what's your number when you finally get the ball in the hole. That's what really matters.
You know, you couldn't be any more correct. I love what Bryson is doing because he's challenging the norm. He's challenging the status quo. And,
Sure.
I really like that because the game needs to advance and it needs to change in order to evolve and stay healthy. But I would agree with you that you don't see the time and effort that Bryson puts into his short game or to his contact, at the bottom of the golf swing or his putting. All you see is this massive power generation. And so everybody thinks that's all you have to do is be long and strong. Well, if you're not a good wedge player, then long and strong is not going to help you. Right. And so we're all about building power and building speed and building stability, but we really believe that the game is learned and played from the green backwards.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's struggling right now because I think he's so concerned about driving it so far and being so far past everybody else. But anyway, that's another subject. Let's get back to why do us golfers, amateurs, weekend players, maybe a couple times during the week, why do we make this game so hard?
Well, you got to look at the type of people who play this game, Rich. This is not a game that interests the laid back Nelly, right? This is not a chill game. This is a type A person who plays this game.
Yes.
Okay. And so you have to remember that a type A person is always looking for some form of result and challenge. And so although we say, I'm just going to go out and have a fun time today, if you're a type A person, that fun time is measured by your result.
Yes.
And oftentimes we have a skewed understanding of our talent and our abilities, our development overall. And we go out there and we think we're going to shoot 36 on 9 holes and we double the first hole. Well, if we double the first hole, what's in the back of our mind now? I got to make at least 2 birdies.
Right.
So now I'm pressing from the first hole forward.
Right.
Rather than just letting the game come to me. When you talk to people who've played the best rounds of their lives, they almost don't remember them.
Correct. They remember the score.
But they don't remember the individual stuff because it's almost a slow motion, out of body, surreal experience. They allow it to come with them. When you play with people who make you very, very comfortable, you tend to play within yourself.
Yes.
That's why I think it gets a little difficult because I think we play outside of our development and outside of our realities sometimes.
Yeah, I think we have higher expectations. And I remember I've had this conversation with some sports psychologists. I used to go out and expect to shoot between this score and this score. Right. And I would keep track of, okay, it took me 3 to get to the green. I had 2 putts. I did hit it in the sand. I did not hit my 7-iron. And the comment to me was, so you're basically keeping track of all of your mistakes.
That's right.
Why would you want to do that? And I said, well, I don't necessarily want to do that, but you're doing it.
That's exactly correct. It's really funny you should say that. All of our players, when they play in a tournament, we ask them to set 2 to 3 goals. And it's interesting when they first come to me or they first come to our team, those goals are always negative. And people don't realize they're negative. A negative goal, for example, is no 3 putts.
Ah, okay.
The positive version of that is 2 putts or better on every hole. It's the same goal.
Okay. But
one you're playing towards and one you're running from.
Great point. Now, some of the guys I play with are always struggling with don't 4-putt.
Right, don't 4-putt. So rather than don't 4-putt, let's set myself up so I can 3-putt or better.
I like the way you kind of turned that around, but
exactly.
Go ahead.
It's a positive energy to something that we know we have in our game. It's in there. When you have somebody who tends to be water driven, wherever the water is, their ball seeks it. There are people like that. I had that in college. And when I get a goal sheet from them, a lot of times it says no water penalties. Well, now what's your focus? Your focus is totally on the water. Sure. So just go put your ball in, just walk up and drop it in because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we would change that to ball in play.
All right. So I know some guys that play that when there's water, any kind of water, I mean, I don't care if it's right in front of the tee box, they will go in their bag and take out an old ball and say, oh, I've got a water ball here that I could use on this hole because I don't want to lose a good ball. That's not right. That's not the right.
That's the opposite of what they should do. The reality is they should get the best ball they have in their bag and let it fly high and soar.
Could we take the second best?
What?
Could we take the second best ball instead of the best one?
Yes, you could take the second best ball, but when it's dinged up and it has 14 X's on it, or you found it in the water in the first place, the reality is you got to feed the golf gods every now and again. We all do. So an out of bounds ball, a lost ball, a water ball, you're feeding the golf gods. Get it over with.
Yeah.
But when you set yourself up to play a hole from a negative perspective, you're not in the present.
That's smart.
You're preparing for the future, which means you're not here.
Yeah, I agree. And you said something earlier. When you go out and you're expecting, the key word expecting, to shoot 36 and you double the first hole, you bogey the next two, where's the pressure? And are you going to be able to relax to play the game that you can play? The answer is no, you can't. You have set yourself up for total failure.
You're exactly correct. And the other thing that also sets people up for failure is they get through 6 holes and then they say, oh, if I bogey the next 3, I'm going to shoot 39. You have just shot yourself in the foot.
And chances are they're bogey.
Exactly. So the reality is it's not about if it's about what I. I have 4 catchphrases that I say every day. I can, I will, I shall, I do. And I finish those sentences every day with a positive phrase. Today, my is, I can make a difference. I shall be my best. I will do everything I can to touch a life today. And I do believe that my passion is real. That was my affirmation today.
And what you just did was you just passed that on to me, and we're passing it on to our listeners.
That's exactly right.
And I think that is cool. That is neat. All right. I know David Van Horn and Dan Van Horn very well. I just love them to death. I know they bought a golf course up in Pinehurst, and you're very involved with U.S. Kids. You were nominated as a top 50 instructor. How satisfying is that to you to be able to work with some of these kids at a very young age?
It's very satisfying. My relationship with the Van Horn family is tremendous. We are philosophically aligned and believe very, very strongly in the familial environment that golf allows us to create and develop memories. We are very, very aligned there. It is an honor to share this game. I believe deeply in my soul that what does not grow dies. And if we don't share this game with the children, what's going to happen is I'm not so worried about the next generation playing the game. I'm more worried about dad doesn't get to play anymore because the kids and mom don't play. And now there's just too much time away from the family. And so that environment changes. And dad needs that outlet. The kids need that outlet. It's wonderful to see people going on vacation, and I get texts and emails. We were in Puerto Rico and we played golf. It was awesome. Versus, we went to the rock park. Go to the rock park and then go play some golf and get some exercise.
So it is. And why are kids so easy to teach? Is it because they don't have reasons not to know the game because they're just learning at the beginning and they have no bad habits?
I think partially their predisposed understanding of the game is so limited that you're correct there.
Okay.
But I also think that when you or I hit a poor shot, we immediately look around to see A, who saw it, and B, we worry if that's the way we're going to play.
Right.
If a kid hits a bad shot, they get another ball. It's that simple for them. There is no tie down to their identity.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now that changes as soon as they start to really play.
Right.
And this is where you see kids struggle on the golf course because they don't have a coping mechanism for less than perfect.
Yeah. Understand. And we've got a coping mechanism. It's called a break. We got to take that. We'll be back with Donna Lerner of the Donna Lerner Golf Academy in North Carolina right after this on the Back
Thanks, Rich.
Golf Show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Winters, sports psychologist, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles, and we're on the phone with a very good friend from quite a while ago, Donna Lerner. I can't believe it's been almost 8 years that we moved from Raleigh down here to St. Simons. It's been a long time since I've seen you there also, but it's good to see you.
And I'll be in your neck of the woods in a couple of weeks. I'll be down on Jekyll for a
Really?
U.S. Kids Regional. Yeah, I'll be running one of the golf courses for a U.S. Kids Regional.
Then we will definitely have to get together. There's no doubt about that. All right. Speaking of kids, we talked about them a few minutes ago. What about us old guys and ladies? Are older golfers harder to teach and harder to have improvement?
I don't think they're harder to teach, quite honestly. I think that we are a younger, older group than we've ever been in our lives in history. 60 years old is a young human being now. Okay,
Yeah.
It used to be 60 was on the way to retirement or slow down, and that is just not the case anymore. We're younger, we're healthier, we're stronger, we're more aware of our bodies, and we aspire to be better. And so I haven't found that it's harder. What I have found is that honesty and candid conversation about the physical limitations of being older have to happen. We have to be honest with people. If someone says to me, I want to swing like Dustin Johnson, and he's got a 25-degree shoulder turn, I have to be honest with him.
Yeah, right.
And I would always recommend in that situation that we work collaboratively with a golf fitness performance professional.
And a psychologist.
Yeah, it's real funny. I have a lot of players working with psychologists. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we had Dr. Mo on just before you, and he just had some wonderful things to say. It's just coming at the game differently rather than, as you said, the negative, and changing that negative statement into more of a positive statement.
Absolutely. How many times have you had lunch with the buddies after you play golf, and all you hear is, if I didn't 3-putt 16, and if I didn't put it in the water on 12, well, yeah, you 3-putted 16, but you 2-putted 17 other greens.
Right.
Why is 16 your focus?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we tend to focus on, even though we're not professionals, we focus on the negative, and we'll go out and buy that driver that Dustin Johnson uses. And if we hit it once and it doesn't go as far, we think, oh my gosh, I just wasted my money. That
exactly right.
You didn't need to buy the driver. You needed to get a lesson to figure out how to hit the driver better.
It's really interesting. People spend an awful lot of money on equipment.
And we've got about a minute left.
Okay. We want people to spend the right money on the right stuff for the right reasons.
Right. And lessons would be more important than buying equipment.
Yeah, and they can go together, certainly. But we want to make sure that we're moving in a way that is efficient and not putting ourselves at risk of injury. Right.
The steps would be different. Get the lesson, find out what you're doing wrong. Is a driver really what you need? It may be just a new set of irons or a 3-wood that you need to add into your bag that you don't have.
Or a different putter, because you're an archy putter stroke and you have a face balanced putter.
Right.
It could be something very simple.
Yeah. Donna, it's a pleasure to see you. 2 weeks, we'll see you. So let me know when you're coming down so we can get together at least, okay?
Absolutely, Rich. It's always good to see you. If there's anything we can ever do for you, don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Well, it's always to be positive, and that's what I'm going to try and change this week when I go out and play. Thank you for being with us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Donna Lerner of the Donna Lerner Golf Academy up in Raleigh, North Carolina. A big fan of the U.S. Kids program, and she just does a wonderful job with U.S. Kids and does a wonderful job with people that she works with. I am a testament to that. So thank you for listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, heard every Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 9, right here on ESPN Coastal. Please be with us again next week, and check us out at espncoastal.com.